Hare Krishna. So, the world is at war. We have never lived in a time like this. The great pandemic of our time is a pandemic of unprecedented deception. Lies, lies and more lies being peddled via our governments through the mass media. And this time was predicted in Srimad Bhagavatam 5,000 years ago that the world would be overrun by demons who would seize control of the seats of government, and there is only one solution for this, and this is a sonic vaccination. Not a time to queue up to have poison injected into our bloodstreams. That does nothing to improve our health. And forget social distancing and masks, nonsense, all of it. Oh, there's undoubtedly a virus being developed in a laboratory, very dangerous, but the response is way disproportionate to the threat. No, the real threat of our time is the lies and the deception and the confusion. Now, and there's one way out of this: chanting God's holy names. In this age of Kali, there is only one way to attain the highest spiritual perfection, and it's chanting God's holy names, chanting God's holy names, chanting God's holy names. There is no other way. There is no other way. And the most powerful mantra is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. God himself incarnated at the time of Henry VIII in Britain. This was over in India, in West Bengal. It was the centre of all the great philosophers of the world. They would all meet together in Navadvip, West Bengal, and discuss. And the good Lord defeated all the other philosophers, and he harmonised all the religions in the world and got everyone to agree to chant Hare Krishna. And it was a very blissful time, but at that time India was occupied by the Muslims, who didn't like the chanting of God's holy names. They became envious, and they came and smashed the sacred Mridanga drum, and the Lord became furious. And he didn't say to his devotees, like, oh, go home and send each other little notes on Facebook and say my guru's better than your guru. No, he said, we'll take to the streets and we'll chant Hare Krishna very loudly, and we'll play our drums very loudly, and we'll march on the palace of the Chand Kazi, the Muslim leader. And they did so, and 100,000 people took to the streets. And this is exactly what we need to do now. Exactly. We have no other recourse other than to call upon God. We don't have any power as individual human beings to defeat these demons that have seized the seats of world government. But we can call upon God, and God alone, who is incarnate in the form of his holy name, fully incarnate. He can defeat these demons. He declared Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, supreme victory for the congregational chanting of the holy name. This is no joke, and the biggest lie being peddled, and it's peddled through our disgusting, despicable education systems, is that there's no God. Oh, science says there's no God. Utter rubbish. Utter rubbish. Peddled through television. David Attenborough, Richard Dawkins. These people are not authorities on anything. They're ignorant people. Well, they're just paid, like so many people. BBC stands for bribery, blackmail and corruption. We have a right as human beings to realise our true natures. Forget social distancing, spiritual distancing. The distance between us and the spiritual world has never been so close. We don't need to stand 2 meters apart. We just need to remember we're 2 mantras away from the spiritual world. The distance between the material world and the spiritual world is who we think we are in our heads to who we really are in our hearts. That eternal soul, that unique individual being who has a unique relationship with God based on love. And when we call his name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, fearlessly and loudly, which is what we must do. We have no other recourse at this time other than to call upon God. When we do that, we start to wake up and realize our own eternal spiritual nature. So please, everyone, everywhere, this is a clarion call for devotees all over the world, non-devotees, it doesn't matter who you are. There is no disqualification. You can chant the Hare Krishna mantra any time of day. Doesn't matter who you are, what you've done, what your religion is. All these things are external and superficial. We need to now chant God's holy names. There's 100 names of God in the Bible. Call those names. When Lord Chaitanya, when his movement was interrupted by the Muslim leaders of India, he said, we're going to take to the streets and we're going to, he called 100,000 people together to loudly chant Hare Krishna, and he marched to the palace of the Chant Hare in West Bengal, the governor of Bengal at that time, and he was very polite and respectful to him, and actually he validated Islam and the Muslim religion. He didn't deny its validity, but he said, first of all, look, there is no justification for killing animals. There are no verses in the Quran that justify killing animals. That was the first thing he said. But he said also, the Quran upholds the chanting of the holy names, God's holy names. And the Chant Hare had to admit, oh yes, you're right. And he made a vow, never again will we oppose the chanting of God's holy names. This is the Yuga Dharma. This is the most essential practice of our time, is chanting God's holy names. It's also predicted throughout the Vedic scriptures that at this time all of the religions of the world would unite together under the banner of chanting God's holy names. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, supreme victory to the congregational chanting of the holy names. Chanting japa, chanting quietly, very powerful. Chanting out loud, 100 times more powerful. Chanting out loud in congregation, Harinam Sankirtan, all the devotees and everyone getting together and singing God's holy names is 10,000 times more powerful. And God alone will defeat these demons who have seized control, who have seized the seats of power in governments worldwide. We need to chant Hare Krishna. Now this is an emergency. We are at war. War. People will be killed, slaughtered by the million if we sit at home and do nothing. Don't wear masks and don't queue up to be vaccinated. It's like queuing up to enter a concentration camp. It's insane. Injecting poisons into your bloodstream does not increase or protect your health. We've been so dumbed down by listening to fake news. All of Western civilization is fake. There's no such thing as Western civilization. It's just a big business. And now we're seeing the dirtiest ever business practices. Total monopolization. Close down all other businesses. Well, forget all that rubbish. If you want to be happy, if you want to be healthy, if you want to be prosperous, if you want to be successful, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Very loudly, all the time, in public places, shops, restaurants, high streets, towns, cities, villages, every public gathering, every meeting, everywhere. Call God's holy names. There is only one religion, and that is love and affection. And chanting the Hare Krishna mantra takes you to the highest place. Hare Krishna.